Hello there. I'm Mad Mike. For those just joining me, welcome. For those joining me again, welcome back. Oh boy, I'm excited to be reviewing the movie we're going to be talking about today. But first, let's talk the 80s a bit. Oh my, the 80s were a strange time. I mean, it was full of high-waisted jeans, mullets, hacky sacks, David Bowie, and so much more. However, in my opinion, the 80s was the golden period of horror films. Because honestly, let's think about it. Some of the best and most iconic horror movies came out of the 80s, and dominated during that time as well. I mean, you have films like Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, An American Werewolf in London, The Thing, Poltergeist, Predator, Fright Night, The Shining. The list just keeps going. All those amazing pieces of cinema have had a huge impact on modern culture and continue to receive praise from critics and audiences alike. And it's not hard to see why, because all of them have great stories, actors, settings, and special effects. However, there is one movie that always comes to mind when I truly think of classic horror movies of the 80s. It's a little horror comedy called Gremlins. Directed by Joe Dante and produced by Michael Fennell and Steven Spielberg in 1984, Gremlins is a monster comedy about a young man who receives a mysterious pet from his father during the Christmas season. However, this animal has a few rules they need to follow, and if they don't, bad things will happen. The rules, of course, are accidentally broken, causing chaos throughout their small town. A true cult classic, Gremlins has captured the attention of audiences of all ages, and it's had a huge impact on pop culture, including rip-offs, the sequel, and many parodies throughout the years. So, why does this film have such a huge following? And why would I consider it one of my favorite movies of all time? Well, there's really only one way to find out. This is Gremlins. Let's review. Our film starts out with a narration from a man by the name of Randall Peltzer, played by Hoyt Axton.
And I have a story to tell. Yeah, I know. Who hadn't got a story? Well, nobody's got a story like this one. Nobody.
It's especially crazy because I'm barely even in this story. Randall, an inventor, is currently working around Chinatown, hoping to sell some of his wares, and also find a present for his son. A young boy brings him to his grandpa's store. The store owner, Mr. Wing, played by Key Luke, doesn't seem amused by Rand's inventions.
The bathroom buddy. It's the invention of the century, friends. It eliminates the need to carry heavy luggage and things when you travel.
Who steals a cheese grater? He's got the works, Lysol. He stole an empty bottle of spray. What got me the most was my soap. He stole my soap. Who steals soap?
After Rand embarrasses himself, he notices a strange tune coming from a crate nearby. When he goes to investigate, the boy tells him that inside is a creature called a Mogwai. Randall wants to buy the Mogwai, but Mr. Wing refuses.
With Mogwai comes much responsibility. I cannot sell him at any price.
Furby, on the other hand, I sell at full price. Practically the same thing. In secret, the kid decides to sell the Mogwai on his own. After Rand receives it, he is given some important instructions.
Keep him out of the light. He hates bright light, especially sunlight. It'll kill him. And keep him away from water. Don't get him wet. But the most important rule, the rule you can never forget, no matter how much he cries, no matter how much he begs, never, never feed him after midnight.
Where's Izzy and Owen?
Breaking rules 1 through 3.
During our opening credits, we are introduced to our setting of the movie, Kingston Falls, also known as the background for every Christmas card. We then meet our real main character, Randall's son Billy, played by Zach Galligan. He's having some car trouble on his way to work, so his neighbor Murray Futterman stops by to see what's up. And I bet you're wondering, haven't I seen this guy before? Well, Mr. Futterman is played by character actor Dick Miller. And when it comes to Dick Miller, the question isn't what movie has he been in, the question is, what movie hasn't he been in? He's been in over 100 films and TV shows, playing all sorts of roles. Most notably, he's been in Gremlins, Gremlins 2, Death Race 2000, The Howling, The Terminator, Pulp Fiction, Demon Knight, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and many, many more. Billy eventually makes it to work, where he meets his love interest Kate, played by Phoebe Cates. And for those who are fans of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, this movie's PG, so we will not be seeing Kate's bazongas. And I'm also not going to be playing the clip you're all thinking of. You go find it on your own time. Although, if I had to recommend a site to go and try to find it, I would probably go... We then meet one of our villains for the story, Mrs. Deagle, played by Polly Holliday. Now, how to describe Mrs. Deagle? I think the easiest way to just play this tune over this clip. Mrs. Deagle is displeased because Billy's dog Barney supposedly broke one of her Christmas ornaments. When Billy offers to pay for it, Mrs. Deagle instead wants him to give Barney to her.
Then he'll get what he deserves. A slow, painful death. Maybe I'll put him in my spin dryer on high heat.
Man, she is awful. Ooh, maybe I should introduce her to Richard Dees from The Night Flyer. I'm sure they'd get along swimmingly. Oh, right. He's dead. Never mind. Billy returns home later that night, where we meet his mother Lynn, played by Frances Lee McCain. Easy there, Deadpool. Not that Francis. Rand also returns home and gives Billy his gift. And we finally get our first good look at the Mogwai. Also, a literal jump scare. Just to remind us this is still a horror movie. He does finally come out, and my god, the designers did wonderfully. Not only is the Mogwai, who Rand names Gizmo, absolutely adorable, but the puppetry looks spectacular. Gizmo gives off such great expression and movement that he feels lifelike, which is why I love practical effects. Also, interestingly enough, Gizmo is voiced by Howie Mandel. Oh my god, I would love to see a Deal or No Deal episode with people holding the cases as gremlins. Tell me you would not want to see that. The next morning, a young boy delivers a Christmas tree to the Peltzers. This is Pete, played by Corey Feldman.
Just brought in your Christmas tree. What happened?
Slight problem with the Peltzer peeler juicer.
Doesn't look that bad to me. At least it doesn't look any worse than some people's bedrooms after thinking about Phoebe Cates. You only poo 'cause it's the truth! Billy then introduces Pete to Gizmo, who sings a little song for him.
Can I hold him?
Sure. I don't see why not. He seems to like you. Great. Thanks a lot.
You klutz!
Now, as we know from the second rule, you should not get a Mogwai wet. Why? 'Cause it multiplies.
You just blew my mind.
Billy tells his father about this and notes that there seems to be something different about these Mogwai.
You know, it's funny, the new ones aren't like Gizmo. The one with the stripes seems to be the leader.
They also look a little bit more evil. Are they supposed to look more evil? The following day, Billy goes to meet with his old science teacher, Mr. Hanson, played by Glenn Turman, hoping to get some ideas on what exactly the Mogwai are. Interesting choice going to a science teacher, but then again, I rather doubt actual scientists are living in this neighborhood. Mr. Hanson decides to keep one there after Billy multiplies it again using a drop of water. Later that night, Billy comes across Kate and a drunk Mr. Futterman, who helps give us the movie's name.
Gremlins. You gotta watch out for them foreigners, because they plant gremlins in their machinery. That's the same gremlins brought down our planes in the big one. World War II. Good old WWII.
And then there was the Cold War. We called them the New Batch. So after Billy and Kate establish they like each other, we then see Mr. Hanson starting his experiments on the Mogwai.
Yeah, no, this is not gonna hurt. This isn't gonna hurt. Not a big guy like you, come on.
I don't like where this is going.
Okay,
Just a little blood test, pal. You'll never miss it.
During the evening, Billy's Mogwais start acting up, demanding some food.
Well, it's not 12 o'clock yet.
Though it is strange that it's been 11:35 for the past 2 hours. Billy feeds them some chicken with the exception of Gizmo, who doesn't want any. Mr. Hansen's Mogwai is also able to get some food after he leaves a sandwich when he leaves for the night. Billy and Gizmo fall asleep that night while watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And while that is a good choice of movie for foreshadowing, I think it would have been better to go with Pod People.
Mom?
Yeah?
Mom, could you come up here, please?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the is that?
When Mrs. Peltzer inquires about why the Mogwais have done this, she asks if Billy fed them after midnight. Billy then looks at his clock and notices something odd.
Mom, what's going on here?
That's not good. Wait, what time is it actually? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that it's 8:25? Oh, crap! He's late for work! Billy goes to check on Mr. Hansen, whose Mogwai has also cocooned. Mr. Hansen explains exactly what's going on.
This is called a metamorphosis. It's a change in form and in appearance.
Like a Pokemon, except it takes longer and it's gross. As the day progresses, our cocoons begin to pulsate until... they transform into one of the most frightful things imaginable. The soundtrack! Speaking of which, the soundtrack for this movie done by Jerry Goldsmith is absolutely fantastic. It really does fit the tone of the movie well, mixing in a great blend of both menacing yet also fun and whimsical. Once our Mogwai hatches, Mr. Hansen lets Billy know the good news. He then tries to find our little friend, who has run away and hid. Hoping to make peace, he offers it a candy bar. However, I think the Mogwai is more interested in dark meat.
Hey. There now. Don't you feel better, huh?
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Billy arrives to find Mr. Hansen dead. He goes to call for help, but is attacked by the now transformed Mogwai. Injured, he goes to patch up his hand.
Surprise, bitch!
Back at the house, Mrs. Peltzer hears some strange noises upstairs. When she arrives, she finds the cocoons are open. Billy calls to try and warn her, but the line is cut and she hears a strange sound downstairs.
Billy, we're...
Personally, I prefer Jingle Bell Rocks, but hey, this is a pretty good Christmas song too. Mrs. Peltzer goes downstairs to check things out. When she hears noise in the kitchen, she goes in and we finally get a good look at the Mogwais, which have now become Gremlins. Once again, gotta hand it to the designers and special effects artists. The Gremlins are a perfect contrast to their earlier stage. Instead of looking like mammals, they look like bats or reptiles. Instead of being cute, they are hideous. Instead of being sweet or subtly mischievous, they are outright chaotic. And, oh boy, I still haven't even gotten to why they're so great. Not appreciating the Gremlins messing up her kitchen, Mrs. Peltzer goes super mom and takes them on like a champ.
This is why we can't have nice things.
After stabbing one gremlin and stuffing another in the microwave, she hears noises from the den. Unfortunately, our gremlins are smart little bastards.
They actually set a trap.
Billy comes in and manages to rescue his mom. However, the gremlin known as Stripe, voiced by Frank Welker, manages to escape. Billy finds Gizmo before he leaves, and the two search for Stripe, who breaks into the local YMCA. Now, besides being a catchy song by the Village People, I feel like YMCAs are known for something else. What was that again? Oh, that's right. They're also known for swimming pools. Uh-oh. Billy escapes and tries to warn the police. Unfortunately, this particular town has the worst cops in cinema history. I'll get to why that is shortly. They, of course, don't believe him, so Billy decides to show them some proof. Meanwhile, Stripe shows up, ready to cause some trouble.
Oh, hell no!
The Gremlins begin wreaking havoc all over town. From running the Futterman snowplow into their house to messing with the stoplights, they begin making the town their playground. The cops would help, except they are too distracted by how cute Gizmo is. And the reason I consider them some of the stupidest cops ever is because Billy literally shows them proof that shows his story is true, yet they still don't believe him. Eventually, the Gremlins decide to do one good thing for the town, get rid of Mrs. Deagle, who turns out to also be a crazy cat lady. After serenading her with Christmas carols, she flees and tries to head upstairs. But I think her chair might have been tampered with. Perfect 10. Also, along the lines of these cops being morons, the Gremlins literally start attacking a guy dressed as Santa. And instead of doing their jobs and helping the guy, they just sit there and watch. On top of that, the chief keeps asking what they are, even though Billy literally just told them.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home?
I guess it doesn't matter though. A Gremlin messes with their brake line, causing them to crash into another car. At this point, the Gremlins have taken over the entire town, including the local bar. And here's where the movie gets fun. You see, the Gremlins aren't inherently evil, at least I don't see it that way. They're just chaotic little bastards with a twisted sense of humor. And you particularly see it in this scene. They party like nuts, play practical jokes, beat the crap out of each other. They're just a whole lot of laughs. Kate, who's being held hostage, serves them all drinks. She eventually realizes that they hate bright lights, and with the help of Billy, manages to escape. Behind the bank, as everything begins to die down, where Kate goes on a sad story.
It was Christmas Eve. I was 9 years old. A couple hours went by. Dad wasn't home. So the police began a search. 4 or 5 days went by. Neither one of us could eat or sleep. The house was freezing, so I went to try to light up the fire. And that's when I noticed the smell. And me and Mom were expecting them to pull out a dead cat or a bird. And instead, they pulled out my father.
That is indeed a sad and very somber part of this film. But, what exactly does it have to do with everything going on?
Nothing. Nothing? Hughes? Oh, boy.
Once things have calmed down, Billy and Kate go looking for the Gremlins, who have hidden in the theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
And they love it.
Billy then has an idea, sneak into the basement to loosen the gas pipes so that they can light it and blow the Gremlins up. Not a bad idea, but first, we need some trailer shots.
Bjorf.
The Gremlins are blown to Kingdom Come, except for Stripe, who had left to find some refreshments in a local department store. Billy goes after Stripe, while Kate and Gizmo go to turn on the lights. And what a great climax. The tension as Billy searches all over the place for Stripe, the madness as Stripe attacks Billy with everything he can get his hands on, from baseballs to saw blades to a chainsaw. It's a great blend of tension, fun, and action, all in one. Eventually, Stripe finds a water fountain and manages to get his hands on a gun. However, Gizmo manages to get Stripe's attention after driving a remote-control car. Stripe tries to shoot Gizmo, only to shoot the string holding up the blinds, allowing sunlight to burst in and kill him. Randall then appears, having been on his way home from an inventors convention, and sees the horrible sight before him.
What the hell is that?
Fair question. After Stripe is defeated, everyone returns home to rest up. However, Mr. Wing appears and demands Gizmo back. Randall agrees and the two are set to leave. However, Gizmo has some final words for Billy.
Bye, Billy. Oh, you're so cute.
And that was Gremlins. Is it hard for you to see why I love this movie? It's fun, it's cute, it's scary, it's a lot of great things. The story is well written, the characters are likable, the effects are outstanding, the setting is nice, and of course, the Gremlins are fantastic. They're well designed, funny but also scary, and will forever remain in our memory as one of the classic movie monsters. So if your air conditioner is on the fritz, or your washing machine blows up, or your cable box conks out, then just call a repairman. Check under every corner, look under all the beds. Then settle down and watch this movie, because you'll want to enjoy a gremlin in your house. Thank you for joining me on this review. Until the next film, farewell.